With conservative filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza is coming up. His first comments after the president announced his full pardon. And in tonight's Angle, I'll examine what that pardon says about the left's purely political prosecutions. Plus, the media leaks a disgraced FBI official's claim that the president obstructed justice by firing Comey. The president is firing back. Also, prosecutors released chilling videos by the Florida school shooting suspect Nicholas Cruz, raising questions. Why now? And what good does it do? And House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy is here to react to Google's description of the GOP's ideology. You will not believe what Google is saying. But first, for the left, it's suddenly open season on women in Trump's family. What a series of vile and vulgar attacks the Trump women have endured in the last 24 hours alone. First up, Samantha Bee's obscene assault on first daughter Ivanka Trump on her TBS show last night.
Let me just say, one mother to another, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless. He listens to you. Put on something tight and low cut and tell your father to stop it.
How about deport her? Well, the so-called comedian called Ivanka Trump, as you could have heard, the C word. She apologized today on Twitter for the obscenity, saying, "I crossed a line and I deeply regret it." But she did not apologize for the sexually suggestive remark. Her network, TBS, also apologized, but did not indicate that Bee or her show would suffer any consequences. In fact, TBS is gloating that Bee is getting a big Hollywood award tonight from the group that hands out the Emmys. But guess what? They've closed the event tonight to the press. Talk about that later. The network wrote, on May 31st, Full Frontal with Samantha Bee will be recognized for advancing social change by the Television Academy. Social change? Is that what Hollywood now calls lewd and obscene character assassination? Nice. And the lefties are not happy about Bee's apology. Look at the reaction from Oscar winner Sally Field, who tweeted, "I like Samantha Bee a lot, but she is flat wrong to call Ivanka a C word. C words are powerful, beautiful, nurturing, and honest." Stay classy, Sally. And Ivanka is not the only Trump woman under attack. Let's discuss with Fox News contributor Rachel Campos Duffy, author and Hill columnist Kristen Tate, and Erica Thomas, member of the Georgia State Legislature. Let's go to you first, Ms. Campos Duffy, and ask you about how we've gotten to this place where a comedian would say something like that about the first daughter after she posts a picture of herself and her son. It's like an endearing photo, right. And that brings out such incredible bile.
Right. I wish I could be surprised, but I'm not. There has always been a special abuse, and Laura, you know this as well as anybody knows, for conservative women and for conservative minorities, because the left views us as traitors. So I'm not surprised by the comment, but the hypocrisy I think conservatives are finally getting sick and tired of. We know exactly what would happen to Samantha Bee if she had said that about Sasha, Malia, or Chelsea Clinton. And so that's what's really, I think, getting the conservatives finally are fighting back and are calling it out for what it is. I think what it does is expose the left. I don't think they care about racism or sexism, because if they did, they wouldn't say those things, or they would come out en masse and be outraged by it. Instead, they're celebrating Samantha Lee. Racism and sexism are tools for power and politics for them. They want to use it as a hammer to get us to agree or acquiesce to their political aims, and they want to make sure that they're the only ones holding that hammer. This is about politics and powers, Laura.
Yeah, we should say that there was a Hill staffer who criticized the way Sasha and Obama dressed, I think, on Thanksgiving, and was booted. So, I mean, they'll argue that Ivanka has a position of authority in the White House. She's an adult, so she can take the heat. But let's go to Erica here. Erica, I mean, Keith Boykin was on CNN, said something interesting today. I want to play it for you. Let's watch.
I think the point she was trying to make was about immigration. I think the point got lost in her comment. But I think that the larger point here that is missing is the culture that is being generated from the president and the top. Donald Trump exists to divide us. Everything he does is divisive.
Representative Thomas, do you believe that Donald Trump is responsible for Samantha Bee using the C word to describe the first daughter? That's essentially what Keith Boykin is saying. And it was said yesterday about the Roseanne comments as well.
Well, I would say that Samantha Bee is the person that is responsible for her comments. She is her own person, and so she is responsible. But I want to go back to what the commentator just said, that Democrats do not care about racism and sexism. That is just a blatant lie for her to say that. We care deeply about that. You know, the same people that are saying that Samantha Bee's show needs to be canceled are the same people that stood behind a certain person that say the same derogatory comment and said that that person would grab a woman by her private parts, which is the same comment that the dictionary defines the C word as. And they stand behind that person, and that president's show has not been canceled.
Yeah,
that president's show has not been canceled.
Well, I don't know what you mean, Representative, by a president's show. That's actually not a phrase that makes sense to me. But there was an election.
It makes
so that's
sense
a
very
show.
much.
Well, I don't know what a president's show is. Yeah, well, there was an
It's
there
the
was
show
an
that we watch episodes every single day when Africans are called AIDS.
Right.
Haitians are saying that they live in huts. I mean, it's the truth.
So you are saying, Representative, that the president is responsible for the C word, and the president is responsible for the C word being used by a liberal. Because I guess they're just now motivated by the president.
No, I said that the president is not responsible, but however, the president said the same types of words, and he's elected into office.
And he won your state.
He's elected into office.
Kristen,
so when we try to argue the same state, it's hypocrisy.
In your state, actually, well, hold on. In your state, actually,
it's hypocrisy.
And he won your state. Okay, so I guess your state is filled with a bunch of crazy racists.
But he didn't win my vote. He didn't win my vote.
Well, that's kind of obvious. Let's talk about Joy Reid, Kristen, though, because there's a double standard here, which is so glaring. Joy Reid, we have a list of people whose apologies are accepted. People like, of course, Joy Behar, who slams people of faith, Joy Reid, her attacks on homosexuals, and an old blog post of what she said about Wolf Blitzer, who said she was being too nice to Jews, and the way he was discussing issues apparently in the Middle East, referencing Zionism and so forth, and Alec Baldwin for his nasty comments over the years, including using the N-word. But the double standard here is they don't lose their platforms overwhelmingly. But if someone who's friendly to Trump says something that they find objectionable, and most of us find objectionable, it doesn't matter how many times you apologize. You are excommunicated from the public square forever. Kristen.
Well, most of the people you mentioned, Laura, still have jobs because their targets are conservatives. But back to Samantha Bee. If she isn't fired, it is a flagrant slap in the face to middle America, to conservatives, and to women. And this just proves that left-wingers can make any vulgar comments with impunity, but those same rights are not extended to conservatives. And let's be very clear. Conservatives have acknowledged that what Roseanne Barr said was vile and hateful, but what Samantha Bee said is so despicable that we cannot even repeat her words here on TV.
Have they acknowledged what President Trump said as vile? Have they acknowledged all of the derogatory comments that he has said towards women? Have they acknowledged that? They have not.
The difference
So at the end of the day, it's a hypocrisy.
Guys, Representative, you were not interrupted by Erica. So by Kirsten, excuse me. So please let her finish her point, and we're trying to give everyone equal time. I know everybody has an important point of view.
I think there's a big difference between comments made in public on a TV show and some that were made in private. But I just want to know where the moral equivalency here is.
Well, I think everybody's got to but maybe everybody's got to get off their moral high horse here. Ladies, I want to get your reaction on something else. We've got to get to this issue. A slam on yet another Trump supporter, obviously, First Lady Melania. After Melania tweeted that she was at the White House and feeling great after her surgery, a HuffPo writer named Ashley Feinberg suggested that the president is somehow keeping the First Lady under wraps. I wonder who wrote that Melania Trump tweet, the headline asks. This followed a series of digs like this one from CNN. Melania Trump hasn't appeared in public for 20 days. And then there's this from the AP. Where's Melania? First Lady not seen in public for 3 weeks. Well, maybe it's because she's recovering from major surgery less than 3 weeks ago, as all the news outlets reported. Ladies, your reaction. Let's go to Rachel Campos Duffy. Do you find it curious that most of these attacks are all coming from women as well?
Oh, of
Rachel.
course, because again, I know that the representative doesn't want to admit it, but there is a double standard. So they don't care that Melania is home recovering like anybody, any normal person would be after surgery. They're going to use it as a way to slam her. But I think what's more important is the hypocrisy that we see on the Samantha Bee issue, Laura. If Samantha Bee had said that about Chelsea Clinton, she would not be at a Hollywood event right now being celebrated, being acclaimed as a hero. She would be a social and professional pariah, just like Roseanne Barr is right now. That's the double standard, and that's what liberals are mad that we're pointing out and fighting back against.
Yeah, Representative Thomas, I think TBS should actually bring Roseanne on. Apparently, they have a very high threshold for really outrageous commentary, just like Roseanne's commentary was reprehensible. Samantha Bee's commentary is reprehensible. Or if you can apologize
just
and
like
get
she
past
addressed
it,
me, I'd like to.
Then let's let everyone apologize and get past it. But that doesn't apply for someone who has
or cancel
ever
her
said
show
anything
the way they
positive.
did with Roseanne.
Me, so I think that I should be able to address her.
I actually don't like people's shows being canceled. Go ahead, Representative.
I don't like it either, but what I'm saying is there has to be fairness.
That I won't admit that it's a hypocrisy. And she mentioned Chelsea Clinton. So let's talk about Chelsea Clinton. Let's talk about how Ted Nugent said the exact same derogatory statement about Hillary Clinton. He called her the C word. And where did he end up? At the White House with Trump, taking pictures with Sarah Palin, greeted at the White House. So when we talk about double standards, we're talking about the same exact double standards. So let's not talk about saying that it's a hypocrisy. It is a hypocrisy because you're welcome at the White House for saying the C word, but you want to cancel her show.
So this is where I think that the left, sadly, who, again, they want to champion women, champions women's choice, rights, and so forth. That's all fine.
That's right.
But then when you want to stand on this moral high ground and one of your own, not a conservative, not a Republican, not an alt-right person, but one of your own says something as just gross. I mean, it's so juvenile and stupid and gross. And she said anti-Catholic things that are horrific. We could go through the anti-religious things she said. Bigoted statements about people of faith, which are so foul, I don't even want to repeat. This is a history and a pattern with her. If you said Roseanne has a history, Kristen. Well, boy, Samantha Bee has a wild history of biased comments about people of faith, not just Catholics, but people across the board of faith. Kristen.
You know what's really sad, though, Laura, is that Samantha Bee is not an outlier. Conservatives have been the targets of this kind of rhetoric for a long time. Look at Bill Maher. He called Sarah Palin the C word and even referred to her son as retarded. He has made horrible comments about conservative women. The hosts of The View, I mean, they've made so many offensive comments, I can't even count them. But here's another really important point. The media would point to the women in the Trump administration as shining examples for young girls if those women were not conservatives. Look at Ivanka Trump, Melania Trump, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. These are strong, independent women. But because they work for the most hated Republican in America, they are regularly slandered and smeared. And the media gives those people who are hurling those slanders a total pass.
I want to read a comment from Stephanie Grisham, who's the First Lady's press person, who just released a statement today. The double standard is truly astounding about Ivanka's attacks on her. Time and again, the Trump family and members of this administration are subjected to false reporting, hateful rhetoric, and outrageous lies, all in the name of freedom of speech or comedy. Yet the mainstream media stays silent. Representative, you can close it out.
You know, I just want to say that at the end of the day, we definitely condemned anyone that says derogatory statements. But we have to make sure at the end of the day, this is not a partisan issue. When you speak about women and when you speak racial slurs, you should be condemned. But at the end of the day, the same people that are condemning Samantha Bee and Roseanne and everyone else should also be condemning the president of the United States that does the same exact derogatory racial and bigot slurs that he does every single day.
What the left is angry about, Laura, is that Republicans and conservatives are finally speaking their mind en masse together.
No,
the left just wants to be the only one to have that.
Says any derogatory statements should be demeaned and condemned.
Then let's see it be fair. Let's see it be fair.
No matter what party.
But I want to say I'm glad that we're all talking about the fact that culture matters, because for a long time we were told culture didn't matter. Culture matters, words matter. We all can do better, I included. I love this panel. Thank you so much, all of you strong women
Thank you.
with really important points of view. And by the way, you will not want to miss my exclusive interview with filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza, his very first comment since getting word of his pardon by President Trump. Stay right there.
Hi,